she felt, being open is a very good thing, but it didn't go well the other way.
Thank you, Benedicta, for that question. And that ties in with what I said already about authenticity and corporate culture. So your friend, please tell her that Madame Merola said that I love her for standing up for what she believes in, because she has a personality that's very similar to mine. I cannot work for an organization that is not going to allow me to express my ideas. There's a difference between how you express yourself in a way that can be seen to be rude, or you're trying to be too much too quickly, or you're trying to go over the head of your boss. Obviously, if you have ideas about certain things, there's nothing wrong with you telling your boss that, sir, if you don't mind, I would like to share some tips with you or some ideas I came up with. If they're going to shut you down all the time, remember I said you want to be in an organization that allows you to thrive in your zone of genius. One of the things about me that is super, super good is the fact that I can come up with ideas like that. So if you do not give me room to be able to share my ideas, you're going to stifle my creativity, and eventually you're going to kill the essence of who I am. That's the same thing with your friend. That's why I said you don't fit into every organization. So trust me, tell her that not getting into that company is a blessing in disguise, because even if she gets the job, she's not going to thrive there if she has a boss that will not allow her to speak and to be able to share the thing that makes her a genius. So don't be so desperate to get a job that you end up in a job that is going to make you become the worst version of yourself. So trust me, there are going to be organizations like that. It's about finding the right fit for you. Another organization would have interviewed you, asked you that same question, and would have scored you highly on the fact that you felt that you had a strong opinion about something and you were willing to go to your boss and share that opinion after the meeting. So different strokes for different folks. Don't try and fit into a box that is not meant for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Benedicta, for that question. And does anyone else have some more questions? If you have some more questions, is that Mr. Acing's hand?
Yes, I think someone wants to share something about that question.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Madam Merola. Thank you so much for this. Thank you for that eye-opener. And in fact, very, very, very exciting and interesting. All right, for this question, I want to come from a different angle. Basically, this is what I do. And sometimes some people who are interviewees might misinterpret question. Like you said earlier, you try the interviewer or the interview should try as much as possible to understand the question asked. Very, very important. I gave you an instance earlier. We interviewed someone for a sales job, and the lady was asked to sell herself, and the first answer was God forbid. This same person will go back to church and is going to tell every member that you don't mind them, that for you to get job out there, you need to sell yourself. Understanding.
Yeah.
So sometimes we shouldn't just be too quick. We shouldn't be too quick to rush. There should be an understanding. Does that person actually understand the question being asked? Now, another thing, like there's something more important than what you say. How you say it. It is not just about something. How do you say what you say? When do you say what you say? Where do you say what you say? So those are the key things we need to know too. In correcting your boss, you don't need to correct your boss in public.
Never.
So that is, even if you are very confident, you just want to say it the way it is. There are sometimes diplomacy need to come in.
Right on.
That's exactly what makes everybody know that you are actually a professional. It is not just saying it because that's the kind of person I am. I have to say it because I'm bold. I have to say it because I'm confident. How do you say it and where do you say it? Very, very important and very, very key. Have an opportunity to hire for one international organization, and what first thing they ask from me is that they need someone who is confident, who is able to speak up. And they were asking me to hire a non-Nigerian because they noticed that someone they hired before was not able to speak up. So if I'm able to get someone to a Nigerian for them. But I told them that's not true. That's not true for everyone. So for them, they need someone that should be able, someone that is bold and confident and able to speak up when need be. But the fact is that every organization will still need that. But sometimes, no matter how hard your boss is, one thing I normally advise people: know your onion, know your job, and know when to say something, know when to speak. No, today we are not talking about emotional intelligence, but in talking about EQ, there's something I see called PQ. PQ is talking about political quotient.
That's right.
So sometimes there are a lot of things that we definitely need to know, and sometimes we need to understand question asked, and we should not just always, sometimes like your friend, like the question is asking, if I've seen the person and the person or the interviewer is able to clarify himself, sometimes the interviewer might be right or the interview might be right. Probably you don't even have the right understanding of the question asked. So it's very, very key to understand the question. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Samuel. Thank you.
Very well said. And that was very funny. I can't believe people are like that. But yes, any more questions? For those who have questions, please feel free to drop your question. I'm sure you all have questions. Maybe some of you are a bit shy, but this is not the time. Madam Merola and Mr. Ezekwa are here. So if you have a question, you can just go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good evening. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, good evening. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you for this program. Thank you, Madam Merola. Thank you, Mr. Samuel. It was fantastic. It was wonderful. It was wow. My question is about these days, many of us are seeking some other things for academic interview. Sorry, I can't use my video right now. Are these tips also applicable to academic interviews? When you're being interviewed for admission, for PhD, for some high-level master's programs, are these tips also applicable? What are some other things that you think should be added for people seeking? Thank you.
Okay. If I got your question right, that the tips that have been shared today, are they also applicable for academic interviews, right? Is that what you said?
Yes, please.
Okay, yes. So like the ACE that I gave you, it works it doesn't matter what kind of interview you're going for. So your appearance is still going to be important if you're trying to get into a master's program, a PhD program in a very illustrious university, right? Because they have criteria for the kind of people they want in their school because they have a reputation to uphold. So if you're going for Ivy League universities or something like Oxford, Cambridge, there's certain characteristics that they're looking for. So appearance is important, attitude is important, so yes, they're going to be looking for your high level of IQ and the fact that you're going to be able to deliver in terms of the competence level they need in the academics you're going there for. But beyond that as well, they're looking for people that will be able to adapt into the system and their setting. So they're not looking to hire robots, they're looking to hire people. So you still need to think about your appearance, your attitude, your communication skills, your engagement level, and your energy, because what that can set you apart from what would make you have a distinction or get hired to stay back once you're done with your dissertation. So why do they offer some people some certain things when they're done with their master's or PhD, and they don't offer some other people? It's not only because they got high grades, other people got high grades as well, but it's that unique factor about who you are. So there's certain things that will go across board, whether it's for academic purposes, whether it's for maybe non-profit making purposes, whether it's for a job in an organization, whether it's just to work in a one-man business, it doesn't matter. There's some certain things that are always going to be necessary. And I think Samuel and I covered most of them for you today. So just remember that if you want to make an impression and stand out, then consider the ACE formula. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think that's all for the questions, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just check in the chat box if we have any questions.
Hello.
Yes, hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening. Thank you so much, Madam Marola. Thank you, Samuel, for the presentation. So I wanted to just ask a question for you to talk about a few things that put interviewers off. I know that we discussed this a little bit in one of the meetings, and I shared a few experiences where I'm involved in a panel, and you ask somebody, tell me about yourself, and the person says, it depends on what you want to know. Of course, or sometimes people go into other irrelevancies. I think that's one question, if you wouldn't mind emphasizing more about how to answer that question. And then maybe just talk about a few things that generally put off interviewers. Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. I'll let Samuel answer first, and then I'll go second. So Samuel, please share some of the things that piss you off or just rubs you the wrong way with interviewees. Is Samuel still here?
I'm here.
Great.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. In terms of selling yourself, like I said earlier when I started and during my presentation, there are some things we need to have in mind. When it's time for an organization is asking you, can we meet you? They are not asking you to tell them about how many you are in the family and from this village, your village, and how you came in from where you, in fact, I reside in so place. That's where on my way to the office, I encountered hold up, they fought different things and traffic jam. That's not exactly what any interviewer is asking from you. Tell me about, you can talk about your educational background, and most importantly, your experience, your skills. It is actually, we should understand that basically what the organization is trying to get is to know whether you have those competencies to do the job. And that would be a good time for you to bring those competencies to the table. You can talk about them briefly. And another thing, try to know your strength, try to know what stands you out. I always, like where I work currently, I use that as an example. I remember when I started the interview, it was actually for Lagos. And when I had interview with the management, and after everything, they asked me, where do you want? I said, I would prefer Abuja. And the person that said, the HOD of the department then called me and said, Sam, what did you do to the management team? Like, the fact is that if you are able to sell yourself, one thing I did was I was able to sell my competence. I was able to sell my skills. I was able to bring to the table what nobody, I believe, that was interviewed for that role is going to bring. So what are those things that you are doing? If you're able, let's say the whole places you've worked in 4 places, and all the organizations you've worked, you've always have commendation from your CEOs. That's a big one. You have your skills. So those skills, those experiences, I mean experiences that count, not just you have as not just only the number of years, but the actual experience in terms of deliverables, what you were able to do. Those are the major things. After talking about your education background and where places you've worked, try as much as possible to make sure that most of that conversation is around what you can bring into the table. It's an opportunity for you to sell yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Samuel. So remember I said that you need to know the kind of organization you're working for, that you want to work with, and the position that they're interviewing for, so that you have already prepared in advance the kind of speech that you're going to give when that question comes up, because it's going to come up. You cannot avoid that question. There's no interview you're going to go to that they're not going to ask you to tell them a little bit about yourself. And this is the best opportunity you have to sell yourself. So let me just give you a brief now. So imagine that you actually have competed in the Olympics, and it has helped you to be able to learn discipline and also to be able to showcase some certain key strengths that are relatable to the job you're going for. Why would you not mention that in the interview? So it's not every experience that is going to be relatable or necessary when you are going to be interviewed. But that's why you do your research in advance. And that's why you need to know what is relatable and what is necessary and what works with the kind of job you're going to be interviewed for. So I mentioned that there are some pet peeves, there are things that turn people off. So there, you can be assertive, but you can also get to the point where you're being saucy. So imagine you were asked that question, that please tell us a little bit about yourself, and you say, it depends on what you want to know. That is already a wrong way to answer a question. And I am going to score you badly, because I'm going to feel like you have an attitude problem, because you know you're coming to an interview and we're going to ask you about yourself. So why are you telling me that it depends on what I want to know? You're not ready. You're not ready to go work for another. And that shows me that you're going to be a problem if I actually employ you. So this is how I say you're already showing your negative, your bad attitude without us even having to dig deep. So I talked about the fact that you're looking a bit scruffy. So for some organizations, I have to say this, right? For some women, maybe because you are, voluptuous and stuff like that, you don't wear things that, look right on you, and you're showing off the wrong amount of cleavage and certain things. It can be a turnoff to certain people, especially if you have females on the panel. Some females don't like it, so they're going to score you down, because they'll be like, you're trying to come and attract the men in the office or whatever and stuff like that. Some men will also get turned off from it. So those are the things you need to watch out for. You could also, as I've already talked about, the fact that you don't smell nice. There are even little things, like maybe you ate on your way to the interview and you didn't check in the mirror, you've got things stuck between your teeth, you didn't check all that. So grooming issues are some of the things that can make you lose some of the positive things that you will gain in an interview, just because you didn't get some aspects right, like your hair was not looking right. Some people have beard that is not neatly groomed, so you just look weird. Some people wear the wrong kind of shoes, open toe shoes for guys is a no-no. All those kind of little things that we're not aware of. So if you cannot have your mustache or your beard trimmed nicely, if some women, I'm sorry to say this, but we're here to learn, right? Having prominent hair showing on your chin and stuff like that, just some people is a put off, and they'll just say, can't you get rid of it and stuff like that. So to different people, different things turn them off, and you never know. So that's why I say, just do the best you can to look like someone that would be able to dot all the T's and cross all the I's, because you don't want to make a mistake, and then because of that, you are disqualified. So pack your hair nicely. Even if you have dreads, have it packed in a nice way so that it looks professional, because you don't want all these things to be the things that make people say no to you, okay? So those are some of the things. Attitude, check it. You need to check your grooming, and then the way you speak, very important. Non-verbal cues, the way you answer questions, very, very important. So those are some of the things. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I hope we are all satisfied with what we've learned today. I must say that I'm walking away with a wealth of knowledge, some things that I didn't know, and some mistakes that I didn't know I've been making. So thank you so much to our speakers, Madam Merola. Thank you so much, Mr. Ezinwa. I think we've learned so much. I'm just going to check.
We've got a question. We've got a question by Adeyinka John. Oh, our boss lady. She said this question is for virtual interviews. If you have bad lighting,
virtual interviews. If you have bad lighting or a basic background, is it good enough to use the virtual Zoom background, or you should ensure to go out of your way to get a good background?
Very, very good question. Bad lighting for interviews is not going to help you, because they're not going to be able to see you. And if you do not have like a nice background where you are at, please use the virtual background. I don't think many organizations are against it. Don't use one that is distracting. Don't use one that can be offensive. A simple plain one would suffice, just for you to be able to have something that complements what you're trying to do and to showcase yourself in the right way. Because if you're going to be using your dining room or your bedroom and stuff like that, You don't want them to be seeing all that's what's happening there. So a virtual background is fine, but use a simple, plain one that would not be distracting, that would just enhance your features and also give the whatever lighting you're using the amplification it needs for it to be bright. If your lighting is very dark and stuff, it makes it difficult for them to be able to see you, and it will also affect the virtual background as well. So make sure you have a lot of light. Getting a ring light is not that expensive. If you don't have a ring light, gather the lamps in your house and place them strategically around you. Open the windows and all those kind of things. And trust me, it will work for you better than you having a very scattered background or something that does not speak professional. Thank you.
All right, I hope that answers your question, Ms. Adeyinka. And I think it's a good time to bring this meeting to a close in the absence of any more questions. Now, so I'd like to thank our very special guests, our speakers, your wealth of knowledge. You know what? We cannot pay for it. We really can't pay for it. If we were to monetize this, we will not afford it. So we're really grateful to you and to Mr. Samuel for teaching, for learning. And I believe that there are going to be testimonies of successful interviews coming up after this webinar. So we're really grateful to you, Ma. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, sir. I hope we've all learned a lot. I hope we're all happy with the information that we've gotten. I see those of you who have your cameras on. I hope you can just nod your head if you're happy with what we've gotten today. Ihioma, Precious, you're happy. I love the smile. Victor Ayeni, thank you so much. So we're going to have another webinar tomorrow, and that is titled The Law and Your Business. So apart from acing amazing interviews, if you are a business owner, you want to know how the law and policies affect your business, then definitely you need to stay tuned. It's tomorrow, same time, 6 p.m. So make sure you look out for that. And of course, the link and the Zoom link will be out on the TLOP page and various pages as well. Do we have any more announcements, Ms. Adeyinka? Before we wrap up completely?
All right, so thank you so much. Sorry, I'm coming in at this time. At this point, I just wanted to share a link with everyone that have joined so that they can actually look out for the job. You can just click on the site, you will see available job.